Story short, I got word that there was essentially a non-human primate research facility or like operation that was going on that was funded by a company. However, some of the laws, rules, and regulations changed, and from that, the funding got cut. So there were a lot of non-human primates, whether it was great apes, like there were chimps, macaques, lots of other just monkeys in general. Whatever you think of, it was probably there. That had been having research done on them, so they had different diseases, had all these different types of things, but their funding got cut. So with that being said, they didn't have the food, they didn't have the staff to be able to keep up with their proper maintenance and things of that nature. So there's a whole initiative right now to try and figure out how to actually improve the welfare of these animals and potentially relocate them to an island. So when I got word of this, I was like, I absolutely have to go. I need to do this. Just because the story I feel like is very touching, as well as I feel like it's a very marketable story to be able to have these great apes that have contributed a lot to society to be able to actually live out the rest of their lives in some sort of peace or even just like properly. So one of the big things that actually got proposed was to be able to move these, specifically the chimpanzees, to their own island where they weren't going to have any predators there. They had all the food that they needed. They were essentially just going to have their own island that they could just live out the last of their days free and happy chimpanzees. But with that comes money. So being able to actually figure out how it can get pulled off in terms of raising the money, talking to donors, talking to different companies, as well as looking at different grant programs, all that different type of stuff has to be talked about and discussed to be able to figure out if we will actually be able to move forward with the project or move forward with the proposal. So that was what this Gabon trip was. It was going into the different national parks and being able to do some health checks on some of the different monkeys, as well as talk to a lot of the different leaders, veterinarians, some of the staff, and even the locals of the different communities, pretty much all the different stakeholders in Gabon that have been a part or will be affected by this entire proposal, to be able to build a actual plan to be able to make some sort of beneficial impact happen. So number one thing about me is that I am never too ashamed of anything to ask. So the first time I wanted to travel while I was in vet school, of course, not having any bread, I decided to make a GoFundMe. And that was essentially the same thing that I did this time. I created a GoFundMe, applied to a whole bunch of different grants, scholarship programs as well, and then went through my entire contacts list and hit up every single person, essentially telling them about my story, what I plan to do, and asking them if they had the capacity to help. There was a lot of no responses. There were a lot of people that said they couldn't, but there were a decent amount of people that actually said that they could help, and those people are what actually funded me to be able to take part in this adventure. So kind of like giving myself some sort of reputation that if they donate the money, then I would be able to actually have an impact with the money that they give me as well. The experience was 10 out of 10. I would not change it for the world. It was definitely one of the ones that I feel like pushed me in terms of physically, in terms of what we had to do getting from point A to point B. As you can see, we didn't stay in the same location 2 nights in a row because we were just bouncing, making sure that we went to all the different national parks, spoke to all the different leaders and officials across the entire country and the locals as well. So it was a 10 out of 10 experience, phenomenal experience. But yeah, I guess that's like the long story short of how I got to Gabon, why I got to Gabon.